Hi, I'm Di. Thanks for joining me today. Now, I've got a busy day planned today and I haven't really got started, so it's almost lunchtime. I've got to get myself some lunch. I haven't eaten yet today because I've been busy. And so I just want to make a quick lunch, but I want something nutritious, something that's going to fill me and keep me going until pretty late in the day, because I don't think I'm going to get my dinner until late today. So what do I do when I want something really quick and nutritious? There's a few things that I go to, but today I'm going to make a tuna casserole. It's pretty quick, and I'll just take you along on the journey. Let's get to it. So first of all, I'm going to be cooking some pasta. So what I'm using here, I'll just show it to you. This is gluten-free and these are spirals. So you can use any shaped pasta that you want. It doesn't have to be gluten-free either. It's just that I am gluten-free. So I'm using gluten-free everything in this recipe. So I do also use flour. So the flour that I'm using will also be gluten-free. Anyway, let's get on and get this on the stove. So I'm just going to pop my pot on the stove to boil. Once it's boiling, I'll add my pasta, and then while that's cooking, we'll get making the sauce. So there you can see I've got my pot on to boil, and I'm just adding some salt to that water. The water is almost boiling, so I'm just going to put some heat on here. In this pan I've got 1.5 tablespoons of butter, which I'm just going to melt. You don't need to watch butter melting, so I'll come back when I've done that. The water is now boiling, so I'll add my pasta. So I'll just give that a stir. Butter is still melting, it's almost melted. Right, once that butter is melted, turn the heat off. I'm adding 1/4 cup of gluten-free flour. Now we just want to mix that in to our butter. Then we want to put the heat back on, and we want to cook that for a minute or two. That'll cook out all the floury taste. So just stir it as it cooks, and I'll give my pasta another stir. Let's just come back to the boil there. I did add 1.5 tablespoons of butter to this saucepan, but you could use just the 1 tablespoon. The reason is I don't normally measure, I just do it by eye. So I was trying to measure everything out today, but yeah, it's a little bit too much butter there, but that's okay, it'll still work out. Okay, we'll just turn that heat off again. Now I'm just going to add milk to that. I've got 1 litre of milk here. I'm just going to slowly add that into it. And mix it as we go. Now I'm not going to use the whole litre. I'll just change what I'm mixing it with because it's getting a little lumpy there, and I want to make sure that there are no lumps in this. Right, I've used about 700 mils of milk there. Now we're just going to put the heat back on. And we're going to bring that to the boil very slowly. Now at this stage, I'll add some flavourings. So I'm adding a teaspoon of chicken stock powder, and a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, because the chicken stock powder has salt. That's why I don't need much salt in there. So I'm just going to bring this to the boil and boil it until it thickens. It's just starting to come to the boil now and just starting to thicken. Pasta is still cooking, so we just occasionally give that a stir. Now this is a great recipe because all the ingredients I have either got out of the freezer or the pantry. Most of them are coming from the pantry. Now you may say, well hang on a minute, you use milk. Well what I do, I shop only once a month, and I buy, if I don't specifically need fresh milk for anything, I use powdered milk in my house. So the milk, I have these lovely glass jars, glass bottles, with a lid, screw top lid, and I just make up my milk in those. They take 1 litre, and I've got milk on hand whenever I need it. So this has all come from the pantry. The milk was powdered milk. I'm using corn, tuna from the pantry. I'm using dehydrated parsley flakes. They're from my garden, but again they're from the cupboard. I've used chicken stock powder, there you go, and that's all thick. So that's the consistency that you want, nice creamy thick sauce. We'll turn the heat off there, and now we'll add our other ingredients. So the other ingredients that we're using, I'm using corn kernels, and this is a 300 gram can, and I have drained those. I'm using a can of tuna. This is a 185 gram can of tuna. Now, if you want more tuna in it, you can add more tuna. But I find that this gives it just the right amount of tuna flavour. My tuna is Italian style in oil. So it's tuna chunks. And then I'm adding 1.5 cups of frozen peas. You can use whatever vegetables you like. You may even like to get some frozen mixed vegetables and just use those. This is the parsley that I was mentioning. This is dried from my garden. So this is a great pantry meal and one to have on hand, so that especially when you if you do shop infrequently, like maybe once a month or maybe even once a fortnight, when you get to your shopping day, when it starts to get close, the pantry, the fridge starts to get a bit bare. But this is a great one to whip up at those times, because you'll always have these ingredients on hand if you just keep them stocked up in your pantry. And we're just waiting for the pasta to cook. Once the pasta is cooked, no, that's quite a way from cooking, we add that. So we'll come back once the pasta's cooked. Okay, the pasta has just finished cooking, so I'll drain that and then bring it back. Right, we've got our drained pasta. I'm just adding that to the mixture there. Now this will serve, this is 4 serves in here, and you can make this stretch a little bit further. You can add a larger tin or 2 tins of tuna to it and add more pasta, and you'll be able to stretch it maybe to 6 serves. So again, as I say, if getting towards the end of the month or the fortnight, even the week, and the cupboards are looking a bit bare, this is a great meal to make. And as I say, you can stretch it, so you can stretch it to 6 serves with the extra pasta. And there you have it, it's all done. And there we have our creamy tuna casserole, all ready to be eaten. It's gluten-free. You don't need to make it gluten-free. You can use ordinary flour and ordinary pasta. But this version is gluten-free, and the chicken stock powder that I used was gluten-free as well. So you do need to make sure that all the ingredients you're putting in are gluten-free if it's for someone who's gluten intolerant. So there we have it. Hope you enjoyed watching that recipe. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again on the next one. Bye for now.